From my window I see many things. Raindrops, a sunset, the pageant of the trees, an ocean wave, and 1,000 stars in a November sky. Slowly fill the cup, or spring can flood the heart and wonder spilled from the tongue. No quick vintage. Wonder is not to be hung in tin flasks of tinkling speech on display. Wonder is the wine hurry has no time to take. A year's thirst is as long as two. Come now, take what measure your cup will allow, and never mind a flask of empty words. Can words describe a line of glowing daffodils risen from brown debris of winter leaves? The fabric sun-slanted shadow weaves from deep dust along a forest road. Describe glistening green after rain and emerald are dimmed beneath a skim of words. Now, say the height of shining clouds, or how birds reach a sky invented wings never touch. Fill the cup with scent of roses in the night, the pattern of new leaves like lace across the sky, and sip the potion when winter twists life dry of hope, when spring seems somehow lost in time. These moments, never coded into words, are treasure for the wise, whose thoughts are free of tongue. For he whose life is wise, to see the spring is no season, but the climate of the heart.
There is a fever in the blood which sends me to outrace swift March winds across the sky. I've raced the wind. I won the crown of a soul no longer earthbound.
I held the delicate cup in trembling fingers, slowly tilted it up for one small taste. I am intoxicated still. That cup held rare wine, the vintage days of April.
To be 14, and in April too, how lovely you are. Something almost a woman now, yet still wishing on a star. If by witchery I held time still, oh, it would not be right. Instead, remember to take a bit of April into November's night.
She ran toward the playground swing, calling me to come push her high. Smiling, I thought it a happy sight to set her swinging in the sky. She heard a tune on the carousel, but the swing could not stop for her. Suddenly my Anne bumped into the ground in her hurry to ride on the purple panther. So sad was I for the little hurt hand. If only I had kept her swinging low. So God himself must grieve to see the world he made hurt his children so.
Child's laughter is a lilting thing, remembered ever after. Alas, we come of age, wise fools with careful faces, and we build a cage for laughter, forgetting what it was meant to be, pure as childhood, innocent and always free.
Molly is 4 years old. Molly wonders about things. Is it true the fairies ride a firefly's wings? Soap suds in a dishpan are diamonds, sparkling bright, too pretty to go down the drain. So Molly filled a cup one night to keep the jewels as treasure. She hid the bubbles beneath her bed and slept as a child who has no troubles. When Molly woke, the jewels had melted. The beauty of her rainbows was no more. Always, Molly will remember this sadness, this loss at only 4.
Two men sat talking late into the night. One was sure of life. The other felt fear of ways beyond his sight.
We must begin with faith. It is as simple as that.
Ah, but where is faith to be found? At a store like socks or a hat?
We have faith by having faith. It grows as that mustard seed.
But if you have no faith, then all the more desperate is your need.
From the smallest things may the greatest come. Have faith that tomorrow's sun will rise.
Oh, it always has, you know. Takes no faith to light the eastern sky.
But what will cause the sun to rise tomorrow? What mind of reason planned the universe?
So, we begin with God. Yes, staying in his heaven while things on earth go from bad to worse.
Wait, no political analysis. Not quite yet. Let's begin as God did, with one man, you.
You mentioned faith. Well, where is mine? We spoke of a mustard seed and how it grew.
You acknowledge God's power over stars and such, yet dearer still are you to him.
If he loves me, then why am I all wrong? Why is this life of mine so grim?
If God can hold the stars in their course, why can't you believe you have a place in his plan?
A plan for me? Well, how about that? I accept. I certainly wish he'd take my life in hand.
It's not that simple, you know. You're not a puppet on a string.
No, I don't suppose God wanted me that way. True, that would make this an easier thing.
God loves and wants you to have the best, but you go helter-skelter on your way.
You said I was no puppet. Can't I trust myself? Say, do you mean I should pray?
When a youngster, didn't you ask your dad to help if a task was too much to do alone?
Sure, we'd finish many a load of hay together. And now I help my boy that I'm grown.
You knew your father would help you when you asked. Sometimes showing you a better way to do it.
So, why not ask God to help with a business deal? Show me a few tricks? Is that all there is to it?
Sometimes, didn't your dad say not to do a thing? Maybe a job too hard or the river too cold for a swim.
Yes, sure. He forbade me going hunting with some boys once. A boy was killed. Glad I listened to him.
God may answer no when asked for definite things. It's better to seek his guidance, accept his judgment.
Thy will be done. I've heard the phrase, a balm for the wounds of life to keep the weak content.
No weakling accepts God's will. Only those whose faith is strong can let God take their lives in hand.
We're back to faith again, where this all began. It's clearer now, somehow. I begin to understand.
The man turned away, thinking it through, fearful still of ways beyond his sight, but trusting a bit, and the mustard seed began to grow there in the quiet night.
In York and Lincoln, English feet have walked the stone I walk today. These cobbles were a Durham street, where cloth of gold once lined the way and showed the print of bishops' shoes. These stone beside a tavern door in Devon heard of Drake the news of gold, a far-off mystic shore. All this until the cobbles thrown in piles near docks as ballast weight for ships were piled again, just stone, on land where men were jousting fate. Now coming into style, old docks are paved with English stone. These walks are part of English towns. These blocks are silent stone where history talks.
For years, Thomas was our hired man. Across his black face would flash a smile of gold-crowned teeth. Perpetually at work, always short of cash, his back was stooped from hours working white folks' flowers. Sunday was the day he dressed in Major's old shirt and went to church to preach. He carried his Bible in a plastic case, together with sermons he used to teach his brethren the way of life, the gospel, to save them from the fires of hell. Thomas gave a dime to his church out of every dollar he earned. They'd help him in old age, he said. Over the years, his hair turned gray. His stiff knees could no longer bend to weed the candy tuft. He disremembered to plant the zinnia seeds. The next fall, Thomas left us to get easier work somewhere on the edge of town. But every Christmas Thomas would come around, just for a visit, miss. How's little Miss Susie? Yes, miss, the Lord is being mighty good to me. Each Christmas his step was slower, but his chuckle was as merry as it had ever been. And he said my coffee was the best he ever had. He confessed his grief to me then. The elders of his church had denied him. Voice, when it came, he couldn't pay them. The years fluttered by as pages on a calendar. We thought of old Thomas occasionally, but we had lost track of him. Then the other day he came to see me. Miss, he chuckled, I's fine, I vow. I's in the almshouse now. Yes, miss, they feeds us fine. It's plain but tasty. Oh, ma'am, we has clean sheets twice a week. We has servants, a low type, miss, you understand, but the roof don't leak. Then he told me of how he came to decide to go to the almshouse, yet keep his pride. Miss, this was the way I figured. His cup of coffee lay waiting for him on the shelf. Out there, I reckon I is charity, but they do better for me than I could do for myself. I was grateful to my Lord and content. He didn't provide for me in the way I planned, but when I could work no more and my money was spent, the almshouse folk came to care for me. Often, I've recalled Thomas's words that day. So possessed of the simplicity to live at peace with his surroundings, Thomas has such a faith as to give me cause to banish all fears which peril the unknown years.
Let the government pay the bill for schools and highways and housing. Why, they got the money to supply some kind of parity on everything. Yes, sir. Taxes sure are high. The sun is a hard brass ball in the sky whose blue is as cold as a sapphire jewel. Full white clouds race swiftly by, going north to make a storm, and only the flame of the fire is warm. Each bare-limbed tree, each minute twig defies the layman's tool. For any artist's brush is much too big, too coarse to copy. Only hearts can remember trees etched by the hands of late November. Sharp as a knife, the wind flashes its blade at me, stabbing despair to death. They call winter sad who cannot see beauty bare against the sky, or feel a soul purified by a quick stab of winter's cold. Let me be buried neath a quilt of autumn leaves, bound with the blue of October skies, stitched by needles from tall pine trees. I choose the pattern which will use the last warmth of the summer sun to make a spectrum of the yellow hues and blend the reds to brightest coral. So in evergreen to guard my spirit with threads of cedar and cherry laurel, so may I be buried as autumn slips across the land into my heart to bring beauty enough to last till spring.
Madam Winter has grown old. Her thin white hair, wild, uncombed, streams across the sky, yet seems to us to be but wisps of clouds in the cold. The old woman screeched her chair back from the table. Them dumplings would have been tasty with a mite more pepper. Donnie's sigh was patient. Yes, ma'am, I reckon so. Time for my nap now. A nap'll make me spry, yes, sir.
The heavy heat of summer was a haze across the land, The tenant house was shadowed by a 10-year timber stand. Dumplings tasted right to me. John lit his pipe.
Poor soul. She just don't like my cooking.
Ain't that? He watched a shadow edge the well. She often sits on the porch, just looking down the road for the sight of folks. Nothing out here but pine trees and oaks.
Donnie poured the water into the pan. I thought Granny would pleasure a spell with us. The country's so peaceful after factory town. Granny and me should do fine, but she only wants to sort of fuss.
Factory house had folks passing every which way. They'd stop and give Granny a pleasant good day.
If I could just quarrel, it might help some. Granny likes to quarrel, seems to me. Of course, I don't mean no disrespect, John.
Tain't disrespect to quarrel with the likes of she.
Always something doing at the house in factory town. Men talk, women gossip, children playing round.
Shadow topped the well. John made to leave. I'll tell you what, Donnie. You quarrel with her, best you can. Then I'll spell you when I come in from the field. John knocked the ash from his pipe. Here, I'll empty that dish pan.
Through the days, the old woman would fuss and fret. Soon, oh soon, she could leave this awful country quiet.
Stephen Drain, long ago Georgian of the 1830s, surveyed Indian lands that white towns might grow. Stephen Drain, did you perceive the hardship, the heartache your transit would bring? Did you never grieve for a civilization dissolved to nothing? The peaceful Cherokee turning his way into yours, his towns, his laws, an alphabet all gutted by the flame of white men's yearning for land, for gold, for gain. So came white men's law. Oh, how very legal, with surveyors' tools and men like you, Stephen Drain. I hope you realized law was made by fools.
Death sits in the corner, quietly rocks in his chair. Perversely, I talk to life while death waits there in the room with us. Why can we talk to life who cries or smiles with each breath and ignore the other who waits so silently, whose name is death? Life was silent too before we made him friend. Death sits patiently in the corner, and this time kindness is in his eyes. Yet still, friendship with life is strong, and never disloyal. We cannot yet compromise to speak as friends, Death and I.
I know a man who is hungry tonight and cold, with no way or hope of means to temper the wind's sharp bite. Yet I am warm. I have been fed. There are clean sheets upon my bed. He has no great sins to confess. My virtue is no higher. Yet his life darkens with distress. Why does ease brighten my day while oppression bars another's way? What have I done for God to favor me so? I have done nothing. It is only by his grace I know material plenty, abundance to spare, while my friend eats his despair. Dear God, let me remember to give the bread as you gave it to me. So must I give that three are fed. As long as there are those to feed, never let me forget another's need.
I look from sea to sea and back to Plymouth Rock. I look in a circle at the world in search of peace. We are kept from the way of peace because too long our lives have felt the taint of petty sin, secret wrong. Our world is split in half because personal sin does spread, multiplies, ensnares the earth, and bombs harvest the dead. As evil and good fight in me, so war and peace move upon the wind. 1,000 years from now, how goes the battle then?
The night of discouragement covers the soul. Clouds have hidden the stars of hope. The fires of friendship have grown cold, and the price of a candle is too high. Creation will not end with our corner of the universe. Evolution is not yet complete. Eons of time are yet to be. Think of these things, O little man, and swallow your curse, for you are not even a speck on this earth.
And what is man that I am mindful of him? Made of my spirit, the center of creation. He outshines all light. The stars grow dim. He is why I fashioned the planet Earth. I see at times with clouded eyes much I do not comprehend. Time has improved my sight somewhat, yet dim shapes loom there within the years. I trust a faith that does not need to see the way.
If you can describe the silver needles of April rain, a stitching a carpet of green for the rooms in the house of summer, to a blind man who has never seen, if you can explain the symbols of music to the deaf, who have never heard the sounds which bring solace and joy, transcending the meaning of the spoken word, then you can explain your faith to me.
No, I cannot tell another of April's needlework, nor transpose music into a sentence or two that man might read it as language. Neither can I explain my faith to you. Faith must be felt in one's own heart. As breathing brings alive blood and skin and bone, just by being a body grows. So faith lives only as it becomes your own. Your name is only yours, so with faith. Faith is mocked. Slogans of heresy twist upon the tongue, veiling the mind with uncertainty. Logic slips, seems to waver. Truth has fallen into disfavor. But the truth of God cannot alter, nor will it ever change. Though the hearts of men may falter, the truth men seek is holy flame, and prayer unto his precious name. Bend your knees to God's own word, that you may stand. The rabble raves, you know of what you've heard. Go now into the world and speak of the way for those who seek.